Good. Hi everyone, it's Mick Levinskas here from She's Building a Robot, and I'm joined by Charlotte, who's in London, and a connection came through BCG Digital Ventures. Charlotte, great to chat to you.
Hi, great to talk.
Thanks, and thanks for sharing your story. Can you tell us what part of the crazy world of tech are you in right now?
Sure. I'm actually super new to it. About 18 months ago, I did a boot camp with General Assembly, and now I work for BCG Digital Ventures. Essentially, we build startups for our corporate clients. So, businesses that will support their existing businesses is probably the best way to put it. And at the moment, I'm an associate engineer. On the last few projects I've worked on, I've been focusing on front end. Um, yeah, it's going great so far. I mean, it's a complete change from where I was a year ago, 2 years ago. I just could never have imagined, and I don't think anyone that knows me could have imagined that this is where I would have ended up.
I'd really love to explore where were you before and what was the motivation to get you to do that General Assembly course, and how did you find it going through it? Was it a really hard big step? Was it fun and easy? And how do you find it now actually doing the work?
Sure. So about 18 months ago, I was running a startup, a legal kind of graduate recruitment business, and our biggest expense for the business was web development. I mean, probably about 3/4 of my monthly outgoings was spent on web development. And I was outsourcing to a lady who traveled the world. She was a contractor, and I just sent her work. She did it, and I mean, I was paying her so much money to do it. But I thought, stupid. I want to get in on this myself. So I started primarily just to cut costs for my own business. And I mean, I just got completely hooked on it. I started with just basic HTML, CSS, did a bit of JavaScript. And as I was kind of researching things online, the Google algorithms kicked in. I started getting loads of Facebook advertising for, why don't you come and do this course at General Assembly? And so I did. And 3 months later, I finished. And about a couple of weeks or so after that, I got a job with BCG Digital Ventures. So it's been a bit of a whirlwind,
Yeah.
in truth. The course itself was crazy. I mean, they said to me at the interview, don't expect to see your friends or family for the next 3 months. And I thought, that's stupid. Like, that can't be the case. But I was working probably 8 a.m. till probably 9 or 10 o'clock at night, every night, for 6 days a week for the entire 3.5 months of the course. So I mean, it's certainly not for the faint-hearted, but I mean, if you want to change careers within 3 months, you've really got to go for it. So that's me, really.
Wow. And tell me about the moment that you got hooked. Like, was that, do you, any sense of what that was? Was it, sorry, I won't try to put words in your mouth, but what do you think got you hooked? What got you excited? Like, what about the moment really got you to really dive in and actually commit to that much?
Um, Interesting. I mean, probably the actual force behind it was my mum. She just saw that I was doing it. I started learning it at work, just as I say, literally just to cut costs for the business.
Mm-hmm.
And the next thing I knew, I was doing it every weekend, and I was staying late at work to, do more Codecademia courses and doing more Udemy courses. And she said, you obviously love this,
Mm.
and there's a lot of jobs available if you learn this properly.
Yeah.
Why don't you commit to it and do a boot camp, and then this could be your actual career? And I mean, when she said that, I thought, oh yeah, obviously that's what I should do. I mean, I guess the things that I like about it, I always love making things, sewing, knitting, baking, and it's all very similar. You take raw ingredients and you watch it grow into something that you just could never have imagined, or even better than that, something you actually did imagine that it would be like, and it turns
Mm.
out like that. And it's just such a buzz for me. And I think particularly front end, you can physically see it bit by bit, growing, and I just love it.
Oh, fantastic. And it's great to have such good support from your mum in that situation. It does sound like that it's something that naturally you enjoyed, so that it wasn't just a massive chore. Did you find it hard? And what parts of learning it were the hardest, I think, to sort of grind through?
I think probably initially, I mean, the hours, the commitment of really taking it from a hobby to something that I could get paid to do was quite a steep learning curve. I mean, probably the first 3 weeks on the course, we did probably 2 or 3 days HTML, CSS, and then it was just learning JavaScript from scratch. And honestly, I don't think that since then there's been such a steep learning curve as that, because I pretty much went from 0 to probably 5 or 6 within a week or so.
Right.
But the buzz, I mean, after 3 weeks on the course, we did our first project and I built a game, and I just couldn't believe that that was something that I was able to do, I mean, at all, let alone so quickly.
Yeah, that's amazing. And that's great. I think for teenage girls to say, not to say that you didn't bring a lot of other experience to that course, but to think that you can work really hard over a 3-month period. Well, I think it's not just a 3-month period. Obviously, you were doing work before with Udemy and others you mentioned. But to think that within a year you can change careers and be doing something you love and be making things for real companies now at BCG Digital Ventures is a fantastic story. It sort of says, if you're curious, go for it, right?
Absolutely.
Is there anything about you which made it, like, are you amazing at maths, or are you like, have you always loved computers and technology and just never programmed? Like, is there any unfair advantage you had, or are you just got in there and got stuck in?
No, absolutely none at all. I mean, before I started coding, I think a computer to me was pretty much a word processor. I'd send the odd email on my phone, but I really knew nothing above that. And actually, a lot of my friends laughed at me when I said I was going to learn to code. They were like, "What, you're going to learn? Like, this is something you want to do?"
Yeah.
I mean, my degree is in classics, so Latin, ancient Greek, which seems like it couldn't be the furthest possible away from what I ended up doing. You know, it's ancient and now ideal in the future, essentially. But actually, the more I started to research it, a lot of the kind of early coders, you know, when you go back to kind of Bletchley Park type days, a lot of them were classicists too. I think it's definitely the same kind of logical skills as coding is. And I think also it's not to be forgotten that coding is essentially just a language. I mean, yeah. I studied in depth 2 languages. So I think that's the thing that I really loved and I found most curious about learning to code, is that I definitely thought it was going to be very mathsy, you know, full of lots of algorithms. But actually what I do with the code that I write is very creative. And I mean, I just love that about it.
Excellent. And I'm assuming you still have time to bake cookies and do some sewing. Now that you're not working 16 hours a day on your course, you have some time for other creative pursuits, because the world needs cookies and good knitting too. So you're still getting to do those creative outlets?
To an extent. I mean, I can't deny when I come home, I think the thing that I found crazy about having a job in coding, software engineering, is that particularly at the moment, I'm learning stuff every single day, and there's no kind of half an hour pointless meeting where you're not problem solving, and there's no kind of spending 45 minutes on the phone to a client, which I mean, I worked in sales before, and there was a lot of kind of padding to the day where if I didn't have those distractions, my day could have been done much quicker. But I think you know, in programming, it is constant thinking for every single hour that you're in the office, and I absolutely love it. I'm thriving on it, but it is exhausting. And I'm also trying to work on side projects when I'm not at work, kind of focus on the things that really I want to learn that hasn't been specifically requested by a client. So yes, I'm trying to fit in as much as I can.
What I'm really hoping for is if we ever get to meet some cookies. So that's it's a very thinly veiled attempt at a request for cookies. So
Okay. I'll try that.
That will require me to come to London as well, which I would come for good cookies. So don't put that past me. You mentioned you did a lot of free courses online, and that's I think a lot of people don't recognise that. They're thinking, well, maybe okay, that's good for you. You paid a lot of money, maybe to go to assembly and General Assembly, but you got started with a lot of free tools, right? And how were they? How did you find them, and how were they in terms of getting you started?
I think probably the most important thing about those free tools is it gives you an interest, and it gives you enough to kind of decide, do I actually want to commit to this? So I did all of the Code Academy courses. I went to a lot of meetups as well. There's a lot available in the community. There's a lot of mentoring, a lot of workshops. And for me, that's probably more how I learn. I love learning from people. I love talking to people. I tried to fit in a couple of free conferences that I'd heard about along the way. I guess for me, I did decide to commit to General Assembly relatively soon. But even since General Assembly, I'm still learning all the time. I do a lot of the Udacity courses. Udemy is a good one too. I found recently that Amazon offers a ton of tutorials on all of their AWS services, which I'm really enjoying learning from. So I think there's just out there, and I think the thing that I've just found baffling about technology is that there's so much open source, and I think that goes down to the people as well. People are just so keen to help and support, which I come from a sales environment. In sales, it's dog eat dog. No one wants to help.
Everyone's out and get out of my way.
They want to actively push you out the way. Exactly. So yeah, it's been great. There's so much opportunity.
Well, I'm really glad you had that experience. I think there are parts of it which I think some people find challenging, and I'll ask it because, and I don't know if you've experienced this at all, but some people talk about the bro culture in tech. Did you experience any of that, or did you find it mostly positive?
Yeah, I have actually found it quite difficult. I think I'm used to, having worked in sales, I'm used to, frankly, blagging my way through. I worked in hotel recruitment initially.
Sorry, for this is an international audience we have here, Charlotte. So blagging, I think you need to translate blagging for maybe the American audience we may have, or
sure.
Fake it till you make it.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's say that. I'm not used to having people question whether or not I know what I'm talking about. I worked in hotels, and I was the only one in my company without a degree in hospitality. And I worked in legal recruitment, pitching to partners and, people with hundreds of years worth of illegal experience. And yet, since I've worked in tech, I just can't believe how often when I go to tech conferences, people there ask me, oh, are you here with the sponsor? Are you in events marketing? And I heard this around a lot of the kind of women in tech meetups before I properly started going to conferences, like, oh yeah, the people there, they'll just ask you, they'll think you're there with the marketing team. They won't take seriously that you know the same stuff that they do. And I found that really hard because I'm just not used to not having people believe that I'm there for the same reasons them. So yeah, it's been tough, but you just have to keep reminding them that you're there, right?
Totally. Yeah. I think the unfortunate thing I've seen is that there is no awareness is not enough. Like, it's not just like, oh, there's a problem, great, it's all gone away. It's a generational thing, and my daughter's turning 5 tomorrow, and my other daughter's turning 7 this year. I think things are a lot better than when my mum came through. and I hope things are exponentially better when my daughters come through. But it's certainly all my work with female entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs, is that there are going to be times when you meet jerks and you just have to bulldoze around them and find other ways. And I hope there's enough opportunity now that you can still succeed regardless of that. But there's a generous sprinkling of jerks in all things, and there's an over sprinkling in both venture capital and in tech, partly due to that culture. And it's changing slowly. And I think the good thing is now is that there are there are a lot more role models, a lot more women in tech support groups. So at least there is some support where you can just stay with the good people and ignore the bad. So sorry that you're still going. That's still the case, but again, hope things are getting better.
Well, I mean, I'm phenomenally lucky at DV. I think we really think about the kind of people that we hire, and the group of predominantly guys that I work with are fantastic and super supportive. But I mean, I did turn down jobs along the way because I just thought, I'm not going to fit in with this team, and I'm not sure the kind of people that are in this team are going to make a huge amount of effort to fit in with me.
Yeah.
But I'm still here. I'm still doing a job that I love.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it's most important to me that girls and women do continue to join tech, because I'm a bit lonely by myself. It would be nice if there was a few more of us. So
well, we'll get this out there, and this interview, and they'll see that you can come from studying the classics, work hard for a year, from no matter where you are. But I'm sure there's a lot of amazing women programmers who are looking for opportunities and good environments. And I think people who have bad environments are missing out, absolutely, and they are missing out on better products because of better diversity of thinking, better understanding of the empathy of key customers, and just not as good environments. So I think well done for having the patience to find a good environment. And again, it's great you found one, and hopefully again we can get some more people in the team there. So
yeah, I hope so.
And what for teenage girls out there who maybe they like maths or computers or robotics, or they're just excited by that area, where can they start? What's your advice to them?
I think probably just get on the internet. I mean, to be honest, I wish I'd even really known the potential of the internet when I was a child. I just never really realized until I was probably at university that you could just Google things and find out a world of information. So I think we're so lucky that we can do that. So I mean, as I said, there's loads of free stuff online. I think if you're brave enough, there are so many people out there that are willing to help. I'm always getting contacted by people wanting to do coding courses, wanting to get into it, and I'm always really keen to chat to people and support where I can. And I think that I'm certainly not an anomaly, that the experience that I've had has just been overwhelmingly supportive, and people just really happy to give up their time to talk to me and help me and support me and give me advice. So I think if you are interested in any way of joining this industry, you're very fortunate, because there's a lot of people that want you to join it as well.
Great. So if they're feeling trepidation, they should reach out, because there's at all likelihood a really positive person on the other side who's going to support them in the journey. And a year from now, they could be doing something they love, building things, and still having some time on the side to make cookies. I just want to reinforce that point. So is there anything really exciting in tech that's coming soon? Any future of tech stuff that you're really keen on that you want to share with us?
Well, you know what? You just heard me talk to Alexa, and I'm so excited about voice assistants. I've not really read very much positive stuff about them, to be honest, but I think there's so much potential there. I mean, the ability to be able to do stuff when your hands are unable to touch your phone or interact with a machine, I just think is incredible. I mean, I dictated my dissertation to my Mac while I was at university, and that was kind of 5 years ago, and the technology has come on so much since then. I think also I'm somebody that gets a lot of migraines, so I don't like staring at a screen if I can avoid it, particularly given that I'm looking at a screen all day every day for my job anyway. So the opportunity to be able to still get the stuff that I need done doing without actually having to look at a screen, I just think there's so much opportunity that we're just not really tapping into at the moment. And I do wonder if that's potentially a diversity issue in itself, because I think it's particularly women where they've constantly got their hands full. You know, we've always got handbags or babies or shopping in our hands, whereas, you know, men tend to go out just, you know, with their wallet in their jeans pockets. They're not really having the same issue of needing some technology where you don't have to use your hands. So I'm really hoping that the technology will develop, particularly the hardware, to support it. And I'm really excited to work on more opportunities within the area.
Fantastic. So I'm going to try with my Alexa here. Alexa, tell me a joke about England.
I don't have jokes about that.
Oh, Alexa, tell me a joke about the Beatles.
So you want to hear a joke about the Beatles?
Yes.
Okay, here comes the pun.
I was really waiting for the pun. Here comes the pun. Nice. Alexa just completely fooled me. So that wasn't too bad. Although last night I was cooking baked beans and I realised we'd just run out. So I said the A word and I said, order some more baked beans. And Alexa said, I can't find any back pain for you. So maybe because I'm in America with an Australian accent, it's not quite working. But occasionally I get those things where it doesn't quite understand what I'm saying. But I certainly think while driving, I'm always actually asking Alexa the A word while I'm driving, because you know you that's a perfect spot for A and others. Google.
Yeah.
In fact, my friend Mick's working on Google in that area. So, Charlotte, thank you so much. Really wonderful for you to share your story. Congratulations on making the big move, embracing it, going for it, and ending up at a wonderful place. Let's see if we can get some more women engineers in the team with you. I'm sure they'll be coming soon. And you know, if we're in the same city at one point, if you're in San Francisco, I promise to bake cookies. Vice versa. And again, thank you so much for sharing your story with the She's Building a Robot audience.
No problem. Thanks so much for chatting.